Oh, let's see, is this thing going? Uh, okay, looks like we're live. Okay, so I just wanted to say I came across a college assignment that someone had about what obligations we had to ensure that there was more integration happening. And I've had a lot of my voters from the last people that voted for me, close to 100,000 in California, as well as other people that say they'll be voting for me in the presidential election, reach out to me and say, Pat, we need you to explicitly come out and say what you're going to do for white people. And right now, white people are being forced to pay for everyone else's children. The white working class is being taxed, and there are other people being overtaxed too, all workers. And what I would like to say is that white people are getting fucked in all of their countries. And what I would like to do is remove the Jewish penis from the collective white race's asshole. We are getting absolutely fucked. And we make it now that we have to pay so many goddamn taxes. The income tax is a Jewish tax set up at the same time as the Federal Reserve to make sure that white people don't have the money they need to raise a family. Those taxes are taken away from us, and they're used for things like subsidizing non-whites to get business loans. Um, so, for example, how many white people do you see owning gas stations and hotels and motels nowadays? None, because minorities get loans that allow them to run these businesses and not pay any taxes. And after a few years, they stop getting the interest-free minority loans and they transfer ownership to a family member, and then they get to sponsor them because they own a business of at least $500,000 for immigration purposes, and they can then rotate to the next member of the family that keeps on getting interest-free loans. And the white people can't compete with this. This is white genocide codified in law. White people are currently being forced to pay for illegal immigrants. There are a dozen million in California alone, illegal immigrants. And Trump was supposed to stop illegal immigration. He was supposed to crack down on H-1Bs. He hasn't done any of it because the entire system is set up to exterminate white people in the long term. And so there was this college assignment where the kids had to talk about what should be done to increase integration and all that. And all I could do was see the true meaning to what was being said. How do we break up white communities? How do we make sure that white people, and almost all white people that have kids that can afford it, commit white flight so they can have their kids raised in a school with as many white kids as possible as a percentage of the student population? And diversity is just code word for hunting down the last white country, hunting down the last white community, and making sure that it can't propagate itself. As Noel Ignatieff, the Jew at Harvard, said, we have to make sure that whiteness or white people can't reproduce, or whiteness can't reproduce itself. So our government right now is like a ship, and the voters voted for Trump, and that was to turn the helm to starboard. And the ship is unresponsive. No matter what we do, the Jewish deep state prevents the voters from getting what they want. We cannot have the will of the people carried out when Jews control the system. So it's almost like elections don't even matter. It's We're dead in the water. We're sailing onto the rocks to destroy our country, which is the goal of the Jews. All white countries are to be destroyed. And while I want to stand up for everyone's rights and all groups' rights, we need to especially talk about what's happening to white people. If we even propose that white people should be recognized by a politician, and that just like you would thank your black voters, your Asian voters, blah, 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 and Trump always makes sure to thank his Jewish voters, that you could also say, I'm looking for the white vote. Thank you, white people, which we're not going to hear so long as Jews remain in control of our system. And I was on Goy Talk the other night, and, maybe they're right. Maybe there isn't a political solution. But I'm still going to try. And, I'm going to have next to no money. I might only be able to campaign part-time on the road because finances don't permit. Judea has declared war on little with the payment processing and all that for my company, for my campaign, illegally, mind you. They censored me off from YouTube in the past, when I was doing well in the elections, they just shit canned my entire campaign channel. Um, and if I start doing well again in this presidential bid, you better believe this channel will be gone in a heartbeat. White people vote with their feet. It's called white flight. And this is an instinct that all you white people out there have, that you want to be in your own communities. And that's okay. It's okay to want to be in a white community. We have freedom of assembly. We have the 10th Amendment. We have all of these things. And they try and do this negative definition in when it comes to our rights. So it's the inverse. So they say, we pro diversity, pro integration. That just means breaking up white communities, hunting down white communities, making sure that they are not left homogenous. And when I see things like this college assignment saying, what can we do to increase integration? All I see is, how do we make sure that no white people are able to get away and start their own communities or continue them if they still have them? Yeah. I'll look at the audio. I'm seeing that the audio is pretty low. Let me see. Properties. Yeah, I've got the audio as loud as it'll go. So, also, I'm asking, if you are a better candidate and you're willing to say the things that I'm willing to say, step up and replace me. Because surely there's a white man out there, of the hundreds of thousands of white men in upper middle management, or that are vice presidents at companies, those that haven't been weeded out for diversity's sake. Why don't you step up? If you're in a better financial position, step up and take my place. But right now, white people are getting absolutely fucked. We live in clown world. You're not even allowed to advocate for whites, or else they call you a Nazi. And I just looked at House Resolution 5, which is going to force all Christian adoption agencies to place children with faggots and lesbians. And we have absolutely no rights. And I've got my microphone set to maximum right now. There's nothing I can do to turn up my Microsoft, yeah. Yeah. So, it looks like we're having audio issues. I can show you my display capture here, and I've got my microphone gain maxed. If you look at this, my microphone audio gain is all the way up. It can't go any higher than that. So I'm just gonna call the stream short because you guys apparently can't hear me. But yeah. Okay, so Dan says my audio is fine. Well, I'm getting an apartment. I'll be moving into an apartment so that I can at least do quality streams. You guys have no idea how hard it is to have a cellular Windows tablet and to try with just 2 USB-C ports and trying to do a campaign address from that. I'm on next to no budget, and I hope you enjoyed last night. I was on a comedy program, Pop Culture of Critique. Had a good time there. I had a few beers, and it got rowdy. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys tuned in. So Congenial Wisdom is asking, am I getting rid of my boat? Yeah, I have to. I've got like $70,000 in credit card debt. The boat's worth like $55,000 or $60,000. So if I sell the boat, I become almost debt free. And yeah, I mean, I loved my boat. It was my special treat for having been active duty and deployed. I got myself a boat. I had been dreaming of a seaworthy, big sailing vessel, and it was my dream. And you know what? I've lived that dream for close to 4 years, and I don't regret a moment of it. I fucking loved my boat. I'm sitting on it now. I'm sad thinking that I have to sell it, but you know what? I had my fun. I had my fun. Yeah, I got it. I was in the desert for my deployment. I was in the desert for my field ops and my MOS training school, as well as my duty station, 29 Palms, was all in the desert. After 4 years in the desert, I got 4 years on a boat. So I had fun. I've got a guy with a drone that's going to take drone footage of me sailing around on the boat in the suit so that we can use that for the campaign. We're going to get that good drone footage. So, but yeah, if you're in the Bay Area looking to buy a boat, I just had the boat appraised at 55 or 60 when I hired a surveyor, and I just finished installing a new sump pump so that I no longer have my shower draining to bilge. So that's a nice feature. I just finished installing that today. It was some plumbing and some electrical work. It was fun. But yeah, back to what I was saying before everyone was telling me my audio was too low. White people are absolutely getting fucked. The income tax is essentially the white man's tax. I was talking to someone in the recent past, and he's got white kids, and I don't think he's ever talked about this with anyone before, and we had a conversation. And I wound up giving him some books to read on the Jews killing Patton and on the Nameless War from Ramsey, and I hope he reads them. But I walk up to random white people with kids, and they're like, "Yeah, we're getting fucked." If they aren't like completely crazy purple-haired, like raising our children gender neutral, they come right out and admit this stuff. You guys have no idea how ripe this country is for a pro-white candidate that calls out the Jews. You have no idea how ready white people are. They are ready. And they were just begging and hoping and praying that Trump would come out and just be pro-white, and he won't do it because he's owned by the goddamn Jews. And whether or not they were threatening to imprison his son, Donald Jr., I'm not a father yet, but I'd like to be. And God knows, I've heard from parents, the thought of something bad happening to your kid or jumping in front of a bus to save your kids. I understand, but Donald Trump ultimately had to realize that he had to be willing to lose everything if he was going to be pro-white. And if he wasn't willing to lose everything, including his family, when trying to represent white people, then he had no business running for president. And we do need organization. Rick Sullivan says we need organization, but look at all the white groups that have started. The Jews send in people as plants, whether they're Shabbos Goyim or Jews that are white passing, and they go in and they sabotage it. So it's going to be an uphill battle, guys. I mean, Red Ice did an excellent video. Lana is one of my heroes. She did a video on pretty much saying winter's coming, it's going to be hard, but the Germans have a saying, "Man muss durch," you have to get through it. And I can't wait to have an apartment again. I'm going to get a few weeks rest if I do hit the road, if I can put together the money for a road trip. It's going to be good. I've got a king-size bed in my storage unit, and I can't wait to put that on an apartment floor and just get some good rest. I can't wait. Yeah. Well, Rick Sullivan, I would say Nathan D'Amigo was one of the finest men I've ever met. And Nathan D'Amigo, I know he's starting a family. I know he wanted to have a normal life. I mean, Nathan D'Amigo got out of one fight and right into another. So he got home from Iraq. He had PTSD, and he flipped out on a cab driver because he looked like the enemy in Iraq. And then he was in prison. He woke up to white genocide, read Dr. Duke's book, and then he got out, and then he started leading Identity Europa. So he was from one battle to the next to the next. And at some point, a man has to lay down roots. And I think if any of you ever come across Nathan D'Amigo, shake his hand and say thank you. Because he was one of the people that took me aside when I was first getting into this and saying, Pat, this is what you need to know. These are the crazies you're going to run into. These are the ups and downs of it. And I had the pleasure of having some beers with Nathan D'Amigo before he disappeared from the activism scene. I went inland to California, and he said it like it was. He wants a family. He wants to have a life, and that's not easy when you're advocating for white people or calling out the Jew. And I really think that one of the heroes of the 21st century is Nathan D'Amigo. That is a stalwart leader. I saw small unit leadership written all over him. When he was at Charlottesville and many other places, he showed bravery and courage above beyond the call of duty. And that's one of my personal heroes, too, is Nathan D'Amigo. And it's such a shame that the movement lost him his leadership, because he had a commanding presence, and he was moral, and he was good, and he was willing to take licks just like his followers right there on the front line. And if anyone knows Nathan D'Amigo and you can talk him into coming out of his hibernation, the movement needs him. He would make a better candidate than me, I think. Anyhow, yeah, Stan Cormie, I'm going to end the stream with your comment here. Stop the Jew World Order. White people need representation that is explicitly representing whites. And when I see the stuff coming down the pipeline, that brainwashing our kids are getting. We need the right for white people to form white schools, and we need to reinforce homeschooling rights for those people in areas where they can't find white schools for their kids. The Jews have their own schools, their own ambulance services, their own fucking private police with submachine guns and Uzis in New York City. It's time for the Jews to stop having special privileges that used to be universal rights for all. And it's time for Jews to lose their special privileges and for all peoples, including whites, to have their freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly restored. Anyhow, have a good night, Goyim. That was just a quick stream I was doing tonight to say that, yeah, white people are getting fucked and white genocide needs to be stopped. And while I will continue to do outreach to other races, I'm going to focus more on trying to help white people because we are getting fucked by the Jews. And the Jews are using everyone against us as a weapon because the Jewish propaganda tells all the other races that we're responsible for all the stuff the Jews have done. And that's something we need to fix. And if you're good at propaganda, that's the message we need to be getting out. Anyhow, try not to get too black-pilled. I do think the Clown World meme is useful, but I think it still should be, we should bring back some of that 2016 memeing that was going on that was really all about white identity, that was about stopping white genocide. There were some positive memeing going on in 2016, and most of it's black-pilled memeing now, which fits the situation, but if you're one of those people that came up with those brilliant memes in 2015 and 2016 that became pivotal in the 2016 election, take some white pills and get back to those memes you were doing in 2016. They were wonderful, and they helped wake me up to the Jewish question. Anyhow, thank you for tuning in, and have a good night.